Hello and welcome to the first episode of 2022 of No Prize Podcast. I am the professor. Lucas is to my left. And Johnny, how are you, Johnny?
Living the dream. Living the dream.
All right.
What can I say? The Finns, if the playoffs ended right now, the Finns are in. Woohoo!
Oh, well, the Patriots
Jesus
are in
Christ.
too, so maybe we can argue about that over the next couple of weeks.
Well,
Get-
indeed we shall.
Can I just take a moment and recognize how important this is? We haven't been, all three of us have not been together in over 3 to 4 years, man.
Is it? Has it been that long?
It's been that long. We've been
Oh.
together in parts, like
Yeah,
either. Well, but this is the first time we've been together in a while, man. So this is freaking awesome, man.
High
So
fives
y'all
all around.
better recognize how important this is because y'all about to get some good stuff, man.
How are we going to fit all this into an hour? It's spend
Close
the
that.
first 15 minutes talking about football and then move on to so the idea of today's show is to kind of look forward to what's coming up in 2022, but we are going to talk about some stuff that's going on now. I know last week we didn't get a chance to talk about Spider-Man because I hadn't seen it yet, but I have seen it, so we can have a little spoiler-filled discussion about that since we're 2 weeks out.
Okay.
And then we can get into what's coming up in the MCU. We'll talk about what's coming up in Disney Plus. We want to talk about the end of Hawkeye that just ended last week, and maybe we'll touch on Book of Boba Fett that started this week. So, and this is going to be the last thing I think we get for a while, right? I mean, I just looked at the calendar, and did we not get anything now until May when we get Doctor Strange?
Is that we not getting when's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show hit?
Not even on the schedule, so I don't think we're getting it. Yeah, it's not even scheduled for a release.
The Force is not strong with that one.
So let's talk about Spider-Man because I know that we're kind of a little late about
right.
kind of talking about that. But let's get into Spider-Man: No Way Home. I mean, I think overall, I think the movie was great. So for fan service, was probably the best fan service Spider-Man movie that we've ever gotten. As far as the overall plot, I enjoyed seeing a ton of old actors come back and play their original roles. I thought Willem Dafoe was fantastic. Dr. Octopus was Alfred Molina, the guy that played Dr. Octopus, was really good. So as far as shouts out to everybody involved in the movie, I mean, Johnny, you might have some big like storyline issues or something like that, but what did you think about it?
Well, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I thought there were a couple of opportunities missed. Where's the James Franco Green Goblin? It would have been nice to see the pair up.
He got canceled, didn't he?
Well, and then on top of that, you could have had Venom still, and everyone's going to yell at me, Tom Hardy is not this. But what you forget is Spider-Man 3 had a Venom in it, so
Yeah, there could have been two different Venoms, right?
Yeah. We've got 3 different Spider-Men, so so I find it a little bit. The selection, I agree with the Willem Dafoe one massively. I agree with the Alfred Molina one massively. Could I have done without Sandman? Yes, I could have done without Sandman. The way his storyline was pigeonholed as being the getaway driver of the guy that was going to kill Uncle Ben from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is just like it's like having to have everything go back to that one incident. Now it was kind of. But for me, the revelation for me was Andrew Garfield. I thought. I've been saying for years how that's my Spider-Man. That's out of the 3 movies, out of like the Maguire, the Garfield, and the Holland. It's Garfield every time for me, and it just goes to prove. Just the pathos when he catches MJ. Absolutely stuff. And I just want to shout out the Brits because 2 out of 3 Spider-Men British. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, and my enjoyment of the movie, I think, was enhanced by having both my kids there with me, and my son, who grew up watching Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and now Tom Holland, and seeing all these movies. And I likened this movie as the Star Wars movie for me, for when I, like, as an adult, seeing Star
Oh,
Wars
okay.
back on this big screen. My son sat next to me for 2 hours, and he cried like 3 or 4 times, like when Toby showed up, when Andrew showed up, when, like, he was one of those people cheering in the crowd. And then
Okay.
the big moment was when Andrew Garfield caught MJ, and that
Mm.
was, he just looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said he finally got his redemption moment that he never got. And
Mm.
because of every, at the time when Gwen died in the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, we all thought we were going to get a third part that never kind of materialized. So Andrew Garfield never really got that shot at redemption, I guess. But so I agree with you about Andrew Garfield. He's so emotional, like his face, you could just read everything on his face, and he just emotes more than most actors. And that's like, just seeing the look on his face, you feel his pain, right? Or you felt his anguish when he did catch Mary Jane, because that's, everybody was thinking he caught Mary Jane but couldn't catch Gwen. So to me, yeah, that was one of the parts that made the movie for me. Lucas, what were your big thoughts of that movie?
It was not just one movie, it was like 3 to 4 different movies, right? So there's a movie that we were hoping that we were getting, right? We were hoping that we were getting that one last day scenario, right?
Yeah.
And we got elements of something like that, right? But of course, most of the people that are going to go see this movie that are Tom Holland fans are not, don't, haven't even read that storyline. So they say, oh, okay, well, we'll go off with something else. The second part that we got is a movie that sets up the rest of the Marvel universe going forward, right? So after the Loki stuff, now we got to go into the multiverse stuff, and we got to set up the rest of Spider-Man that are going to eventually show up. So there's definitely setups for Miles Morales to come in, right, without the freaking Infinity Stones, right? Because now you got Ned Leeds. I forget what his real name is. Now he can just basically make a portal show up whenever he freaking wants, which is kind of crazy into itself. Um, and it shows that, hey, Ned Leeds is not just some freaking Green Goblin character. He's got his own thing. So I'm gonna be looking in the Marvel books going into this year for them to show more of that and what that actually means going forward. Um, and then there's this is a movie that finally, because look, the Spider-Man that I love, right, isn't some technical freaking genius or some rich guy that has a whole bunch of stuff behind him. He's a
Whoa!
he's just
Go,
a
go, Kenny there. Don't be invoking the bat.
yeah. He's just some kid, right, who's doing just the best he can with what he's got, right? Um, hey, that's Batman. Batman is Batman, but I need my Spider-Man depowered. I don't need him with a whole bunch of. I don't need him. I don't need another Iron Man,
Mhm.
right?
That's a shout. That is a shout.
Yeah, there. Look, if we need another Iron Man, that's not Tony Stark. Riri Williams is in the queue, right? But I need my Spider-Man to be Spider-Man, and I think that's what I like that they succeeded in doing that, depowering him, taking all that away. And let's get him back to basics. I was upset at first because you know me, Professor, that I don't
Yeah.
like the whole romance thing, right?
Mhm.
I don't like my superheroes to be sexual, right? If they are trying to be sexual, I like them to fail every single freaking time, right? And they were starting out with this whole thing,
Sounds like my sex life.
yeah. hey, hey, that's what it is, right? If I had a full sex life, then guess what? I wouldn't be reading books. That's just the way it is. Right? Look,
I just want to say no. I want to say no comment to that one. Thank you.
um, but look. I mean, look. They started out with he's successfully wooed MJ. They're somewhat in love and everything. They like each other. But at the end, they said, no, we got to take that away. We got to strip that away. Let's get back to basics where there's people that he cares about that are out there, but he just can't get to them either because, they don't even know who he is or because they're dead right now. I like that freaking element. So it's one of those, it's got stuff that's out there that's pretty bad, right? Because it's not the movie we wanted, but it is a movie that we need going forward.
Mm.
So that's the way I feel about this one right now. As far as the characters, I'm talking about the villain characters. It's so weird because I don't even know if we really needed all of these characters to get this freaking done. They didn't need to. They didn't need to bring back all these characters. Look, you had Rhino in the queue. You had Vulture in the queue. Those are the characters we were looking forward
Good
to getting
shout.
back.
That's a great shout. Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
you didn't Doctor Octopus. Yes, did you need to bring back Doctor Octopus? Yes, because we had the superior Spider-Man that's out there. So
Mhm.
bring back a different version of him. That would have been nice. But all these other characters, I don't know about that.
It was. I don't know about you guys, but it was like trying to make them all good.
Mhm.
So it's like the Green Goblin until he gets his breakdown again. Then it's Otto until he gets his brain fried, and then they deep fry him. Sandman was on on the scheme until you like, you know what, the bad guys for a reason.
Mhm.
Right.
Not every character can be redeemable, and even I suppose out of the villains that were there, you've only got the Lizard that stays true to the core Lizard character. Because even Electro was us out at the end by like, oh yeah, too much power and all that sort of stuff. It's like, okay, I get it. I get the trick. It works really well for maybe one or two characters. But this is the goddamn Sinister Six.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Effectively, Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1, first appearance of the Sinister Six as a group. You're telling me that book ends with everyone being friends and creating a happier world? I think not. And the other thing is a couple of plot points. There is no reason for Aunt May to die. I thought that was just gratuitous, absolutely gratuitous. No reason whatsoever. And the other thing I have is we all know what One Day More is all about. The fact that everyone forgets Peter's identity.
You're right.
This movie changes it. This movie is everyone forgets Peter Parker.
Mm.
So even if even if MJ and Ned don't know that Peter is Spider-Man, they should have had some shared experience because they've been at the same school for whatever. And therefore, if everybody forgets that Spider-Man is Spider-Man, who invited him to take part in Civil War?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my brain around all that, John.
Because I mean, the thing, the strange spell goes back in time, right? It's not from this point.
Hmm.
It's like everyone will forget who you were. Hmm. All right.
Stop it! You're making too much sense.
Lucas, I've been on a pod with you before, and you said you want the science to work. So there you go.
So
So I will say one thing that absolutely pissed me off was Spider-Man chasing Doc Strange through that weird magical world that he's got going on, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I know these shapes. Let me go do this and this and that and the everything." Like, no, 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 my dude. This is magic. You can't just science the shit out of freaking magic. That's not the way it freaking.
And then it never turns up again, does it?
no.
You think,
Right.
oh right. So as the climax comes in, you think they're going to do something with that, but no, it's just like
Now it was a convenient way to get rid of Doctor Strange for the rest of the movie, so he didn't
yeah,
magic a fix, you know.
yeah.
But
I think,
I just my final thoughts on this movie was that the other Spider-Man movies or other superhero movies that use multiple villains, I always
Mhm.
thought where they didn't work because the villains didn't get enough screen time. I thought that this movie worked even with all these villains. Because you didn't have to flesh out the characters or their motivations or anything like
True.
that. So I really think that this movie worked because they have the other characters already had a whole movie for you to get to know them. So
Yeah.
I thought it worked with as many Spider-Man villains as we got in this movie. I thought it was a good plot.
Okay.
I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I agree with Lucas. It is a massive reset button so that we can start moving forward with the Marvel universe stroke multiverse. And we got snippets of that in the end credit scene. Um,
Right.
so I kind of agree with the assessment that it might not be the story that we want, but it's a story that we had to have at some point just to reset the balance. And
Right.
I'm all right. I'm all right with that as an idea. It also paves the way for another actor to replace Tom Holland because there's news banging around that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. But who knows what's going on?
Yeah, and plus they already announced Spider-Man's 4, 5, and 6. So
and Garfield, they talk about bringing the Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 3 out as well, aren't they? So it's like,
oh really? Oh,
so Twitter's all a hype. Twitter's all a hype of So hey, if you get the Snyder cut, don't even get me started on that bad boy. But if you get the Snyder cut, then you know what? I'm all right with Garfield coming back as Spidey. So,
all right.
But my other thought would be, I still think Into the Spider-Verse did it better.
Yeah, and we're gonna get another one of those, not this year, but probably next year.
So there you go.
So one last thought on that is that's a good point. So, because in the comics, that the Asian Ned Leeds shows up first as Miles Morales' best friend.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's Gank, right? Gank.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce
Gank.
it, but I call him Gank.
It's Gank, but he actually calls him Ned.
Oh,
Miles, yeah. So that's why it's crazy. His name is Gank Leeds, but Miles calls him Ned. So now that Ned or Gank has forgotten Tom Holland's Peter Parker, that sets it up for Miles Morales to come from a different universe, pair up with that Ned Leeds, and them to become best friends. So,
interesting. All right, let's pivot to Disney Plus. Let's talk about Hawkeye. How did you like the end of of Hawkeye? I know we talked up to through episode 5, but we finally got the finale, episode 6.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I've just started episode 6, so
okay. Oh,
so
can we spoil it for you?
Yeah, by all means, feel free. I am obviously behind the bow on this one a little bit.
I don't think so, man.
I have been binging it over the Christmas hauls, so I know who the big bad is. So you can that's fine. Have I enjoyed the series? I absolutely totally have. I thought this has been brilliant. This is like by far the One Division was fantastic just because it was just a change of pace. Winter Soldier, and Falcon, I could live without a million times. Loki, I fell asleep through episode 3, never managed to get back to that. Hawkeye, my wife dropped off after episode 2 because it was a bit slow. Me, I think it's a great show. I absolutely love this show.
I thought it was great from beginning to end. It had me hooked right at the beginning. I think it hit all the notes it needed to hit. That I thought Haley Steinfeld, is that her name? That played Kate Bishop, is a revelation in this role. I think she's great. She's funny in all the right spots. Haley Steinfeld, sorry, my bad. And if this is a swan song for Jeremy Renner, which I kind of don't think it is, I kind of think we'll see Clint Barton again. But this was great. It had all the nice notes from the Hawkeye series, the limited series from 10 years ago. That the Tracksuit Mafia was funny. And that's what they were supposed to be, The trick arrows, I like that they didn't overuse it. It was a big gimmick, but they used it in 2 episodes, right? And then of course with this episode with all the different trick arrows, I thought was just great.
I love the Pimpatical arrow. I thought that was. I know you probably talked about it already, so I thought when I saw that, I was like, that was a stroke of genius. Yeah.
They were all really good. I love the. I think Echo worked in this series. Very interesting to see, and we've talked about this before with all of Disney Plus stuff and all of the MCU stuff in general. Is everything is there's never actually an ending for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is what's setting up the next thing, and seeing Echo set up at the end of this with Kingpin just sets that up for when Echo gets her own show this year or next year. Mm-hmm. We already know Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be back as Kingpin, right? So he'll be back. He'll be the big bad in Echo. Maybe we get Clint Barton again in that show, maybe. Or maybe we even get him showing up in what I think Secret Invasion is going to be, the show that brings all of these side characters like U.S. Agent and Monica Rambeau and everything all together as a team. That they're recruiting them for a reason against the Skrulls, I think. So maybe we'll see Clint. Maybe they'll be the Thunderbolts, and Clint Barton comes in to lead them. That would be great.
Well, before Lucas jumps in, I'm going to say this
go
shows him squarely at you because you, Professor, because you are an absolute Hawkeye fan. So,
I am, yeah.
So.
I've been saying for years that I thought the Matt Fraction's Hawkeye kind of ruined the character for me, but this show actually fixes it a bit, right? Because if you think about Matt Fraction's Hawkeye limited series, they turned him into a bumbling idiot, and in the Disney Plus show, Kate Bishop's the bumbling idiot. They did kind of a character swap on that. So I think that was great because they kept Clint as an ass kicking leader that I kind of think was lost in the Matt Fraction series. But here, I think they did those tweaks and fix it and kind of put Hawkeye in as the hero that's on the pedestal that she looks up to. Because in the Matt Fraction series, I was like, well, how could Kate Bishop really look up to this guy? He's a kind of like a boob. But
yeah, cool.
But that's my shout out. I think everything that they did, they kind of everything I didn't like about the Fraction series, they fixed in the Disney Plus series. So, and Matt Fraction was the executive producer on this. So,
well, I like the Fraction. I like the Fraction series.
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like it, but I do think that it ruined the character going forward. But I like this for what it is, and the whole design is all the David Aja artwork from the Hawkeye limited series. So I think they did a great job showing out.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of those series that is for the first time in a long time. I have absolutely nothing really bad to say. Right. It got a lot of stuff right and it stayed consistent. Right. So for instance, one of the like you guys mentioned the element of Kate Bishop being a bumbling just young lady, right, just trying to make her way. She's just got people got to remember this is a young lady trying to make her way in a world where like her mom and dad were her mom was like probably like a billionaire, right? And she's also trying to make her way in a world where superheroes and gods exist, right? That's she's just trying to make her way. And this is what she's 22, 23, something like that. So people gotta remember that. And then there was the other thing about the handicap, right? The audio handicap that Clint Barton had and Echo had, and they could stay consistent with that, and they kept using that. It didn't just drop off all of a sudden. I definitely like that. People keep talking about the David Aja freaking color scheme. Well, and they're complaining that David Aja didn't get um, any type of credit for it. Well, that's because back in the 50s to the 60s, all the little spy movies kind of used that kind of color scheme. So that may be why they didn't give him enough credit because this was already a color scheme that's out there, and they just happened to use it for the comic book. But look, throw the guy a freaking bone.
Yeah.
Throw the guy. He didn't make it up, but come on now, give the guy no. And then this as a Christmas series. Hey, there's all this crazy and violent stuff happening, but oh yeah, once we get back to the hotel or the house, hey, it's still Christmas. I definitely freaking love that feeling, man. I was able to enjoy that with my family a little bit better.
Yeah, this might be a series you rewatch every Christmas, like a Christmas.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
As far as setting up the future, look, I like the way this pairs with Spider-Man, right? Because in one quarter you got Kingpin who's showing up, and then in the other on No Way Home, remember Daredevil has shown up already. So you get to have those two things, and eventually we know they're going to converge. I love the White Widow, how they're utilizing her, right?
She was great in that show. Yep.
Absolutely freaking the man the chemistry between her and Kate Bishop was amazing, and I want to see more of that going back and forth in the future. I don't know if they've ever like teamed up in the comics or anything like that, but I definitely want to see that going forward. And then you know reveling back into what happened before the snap and after the snap and everything. That was good as well. It was just a good series. If you've been following along what's going on with the MCU, it was just a good series all along. And even if you didn't, even if you just wanted to sit tight and look at this one as just a young girl trying to make her way and growing up, mentally, I think this was still a good one.
Yeah, I think going forward, the future is bright for a lot of these characters, and then I always wondered for like the first 10 years, how are you going to replace all these iconic actors in these roles? And of course, they've been doing it for years now in the comic book universe, where
Yeah.
we're getting these next generation characters like Ironheart and America Chavez, who they're going to be introducing in the Marvel Doctor Strange movie. This has been their plan for now. You can look back and say it's been almost 10 years now that they've been looking at introducing new characters, people of color, etc., diversity and that these were going to be the next generation of heroes that were going to make the leap from the page to the screen. And we got this first generation for the first 10 years, and now we're moving forward again. And I think that Marvel was smart. Maybe they knew way better than all of us old timers. So, we'll see. But they'll be making billions of dollars to come. Let's touch on Boba Fett real quick, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll jump into what's coming up in
Okay.
2022.
Well, one last thing that I just thought up that I definitely want to bring up. So there is some jackass out there who's talking about the coin trick, and he's saying that Marvel Studios stole the idea for the coin trick away from him, right? Because he's
Are we
got
talking the snap?
yes, that is so untrue because inside the comic books years ago, that's been the thing that Clint Bart has been able to do. In fact, in one book, and I think one of the first books that he actually did it, he actually tore off his own fingernails and used it to fucking kill a guy.
I remember that. That was in the Ultimates. It was in Mark Millar's Ultimates book. I remember that.
So, no, my guy, no. Clint Barton's still the shit.
So is anyone going to complain that Harvey Dent has stolen somebody's heads or tails?
There is. There is, man.
Harvey Dent flips a coin. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. Go figure.
So I know we've only gotten one episode of Book of Boba Fett. My thoughts, and it's going to be just a real brief thought on this this show, is that I wish I waited until there was 2 episodes in, because this first episode there wasn't much. It was all flash and no substance, right? All sizzle and no steak. It was the whole episode was a majority of flashback on how did Boba Fett get from where he is now? How did he get here? And so you get some flashbacks of him getting out of the Sarlacc pit. You get some flashes of him in Tatooine with the Jawa stealing his armor, and then getting captured by the Tusken Raiders. So a lot of that stuff. Great to see characters like Sand People and Jawas, and it felt very Star Warsy. But then it just didn't feel like when I was excited to see Robert Rodriguez was helming the show. I was excited because the episode that he directed in Mandalorian last year was that just absolutely kick-ass episode where Boba Fett came back and had the great fight scenes and the actions and the explosions, and this had none of that. And the fight scene that they did have in this was I kind of think a little lackluster. But it didn't really introduce any major characters. Fennec was okay, but to set up for the rest of the season, I really wish that they did like they did with Hawkeye and dropped the first 2 episodes. That way you kind of get sucked in a little bit more. Here, I was just like, oh, I could have waited till next week and watched 2 episodes. And this episode's only like 36 minutes long. And that's including the credits. So, the credits are like 4 minutes. So
The Mandalorian is a short show though, so I mean, it's still following on that style. I've got to be honest. Other than going out like a bitch in Jedi, Boba Fett is just he's the perennial loser. I haven't seen the show yet, but I have heard people say very much like you that it needs more story, less action, is what I heard. But
yeah, well, I mean, they didn't even have the first line in the show till like minute 15.
So,
you know.
So I'm gonna take your advice and I'm gonna wait so the second episode is there so that I can do it en masse rather than do it.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation. I would wait. My kids are now in the habit of just waiting till everything drops and binge watching it, and they get much more enjoyment out of the binge watch. But I'm a episodic guy, so I need to watch it episode by episode. So, Lucas, what did you think?
So yeah, I mean, look, if I'm going to keep on turning in episode after episode, I need a primary drive to keep me going. Is it the child that I'm turning in for? What about the damsel in distress? Or am I turning in next week to see if he saves the damsel in distress? I got none of that. All I got right now is this is how he supposedly got out of the pit. This is how he survived and everything's great. He's a survivor. Oh, I don't. If I have never heard anything about Star Wars before, right, and I'm just looking at this episode, this is my first introduction. I don't care about this guy at all. He hasn't done anything. Well, what did he do? He tried to save one of the other creatures. The creature turned him in and some crazy stuff like that. But there's nothing anything in here of redemption value right now for me. There's nothing that makes me say, okay, next week I'm turning in for sure to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it doesn't call me right now. So maybe they'll fix that in the next episode, and which is kind of surprising to me because I think he has a kid, right? He has a kid and he's got clones all over the freaking place. Throw one of those in there, So at least my wife and my kids can go, oh, let's figure out what's going on. Now they've watched it and they're like, okay.
It's interesting you say that because my wife has absolutely no interest in this, and my wife is she is quite. I'm not going to say she's a Star Wars nut by any stretch of the imagination, but she likes the Star Wars going on. I mean, she watched all the Mandalorian. She loves the movies. She loves Return of the Jedi. For Ewoks.
But you know the difference between that is Mandalorian. Once my wife saw the child, that made her with interest actually go back and watch everything else. She's seen it. She had seen all the other stuff before because I forced her, and she didn't care.
Ironically, you will watch this.
Yeah,
movie.
Exactly. That's what the child did for her. She's like, okay, what's going on? What's possibly happening? What's going on with this, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the child here in this book of Boba Fett episode. There's nothing like that for her right now.
All my wife says is, "Isn't that the girl from Agents of Shield? Man, why is Agents of Shields on anymore?"
Wow. That's the one thing that is going to be, I think, telling about this show is they already burned that MacGuffin with the Baby Yoda in Mandalorian. How do they get people outside of Star Wars fans to watch this show? What's the hook? And you're right, there was no hook in this episode. So, that's the hook will have to be the power of the Boba Fett character. And, is there a power of the Boba Fett other than his look? I think he looks awesome, but, people are calling him Boba Fett. So,
looks great. Indigestible to Sarlacc, goes out, gets taken down by a blind man. Great, well done. Boba Fett is basically a Daredevil villain.
There we go. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk about what's coming up in 2022. Of course, Crisis on the Target. All right, make sure to catch Crisis in the Toyverse. That's my favorite ad, and the show is just as good. So make sure you check it out. All right, so I have a quick question. So we're going to look forward. I just want a quick the three Disney Plus shows we're going to get 2022 from Marvel. We're going to get Ms. Marvel. We're going to get She-Hulk. We're going to get Moon Knight. Which of the three are you most excited for?
Which Miss Marvel? Kamala Khan.
Kamala Khan. Yes.
Kamala Khan.
Khan.
I am
Apologies.
looking forward. Yeah, I am looking forward to Kamala Khan replacing the Captain Marvel actress as the Marvel in the MCU right now, right? Because once again, I hate to keep bashing what she did, but she hasn't pulled back.
Brie Larson,
And
you're talking about?
yeah, and you know, Marvel has shown, hey, if you mess up, if you do something stupid like that, we will replace you in a heartbeat. We will, you think we won't freaking stop a movie and delay a movie because you're stupid? They've already shown that with the Black Panther thing
Yep.
going on right now. So that is a shot across the bow to all these actors and actresses that think they can't be replaced. Oh, they can't replace me because Marvel's going to lose a bunch of money if they freaking delay that movie. Watch this. They're already losing. They're already losing money because of the pandemic. Was a couple $1 billion more. Marvel really doesn't care right now, and I love it. I love the aggressiveness on that fact, and I love the fact that they've already got other Marvels in the queue with Kamala Khan
Yeah, I think
that we know we love. So
I'm like really excited to see Moon Knight. I don't know how they're going to be able to do him on Disney Plus because I think he's kind of one of those almost like a John Bernthal Punisher type character that they kind of have to tone down a little bit.
Changes their symbol.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I think the Oscar Isaac looks great as Moon Knight. I've seen the costume looks pretty good. More excited to see that than I am Ms. Marvel, and I'm almost as excited to see She-Hulk, just because she looks really good.
So yeah, I'll round it off by saying She-Hulk for me. I'm not a big Shulky fan. In fact, I'm going to be sacrilegious. I'm not a huge fan of either of these three characters particularly. I prefer Carol Danvers as my Marvel.
I agree with you.
But that's not to say that Kamala Khan doesn't have a place. It's like it's the same as I prefer Peter Parker as my Spider-Man. Doesn't mean that Miles Morales is bad. It's just that's my Spider-Man.
All three do. Look, what you got to do is the same way they did Hawkeye. You do that for Captain Marvel. But people hate Brie Larson so much right now. I don't know if they actually want to see her on any type of screen right now.
But surely, I must be behind the curve on this because I get that people don't like her. That's fine. But if you like the character, I think it's called acting, this thing. That the person on the screen is different to the person who plays the person.
Right.
So people didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. People didn't like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. People kicked off with Tobey Maguire was cast. And now all three of them are like, oh, these are the greatest versions of the characters on cinema ever, blah blah blah. And Ben Affleck's done some shady stuff,
Right.
So I think there's got to be a point where you got to turn around and say, right, fine. If you don't have to like a person to enjoy the movie if you like the character. Is that contentious? Probably it is. And that's probably why I'm not involved in cancel culture, because you know what? People whatever you do, whether you're a sports personality, a movie person, a comic book writer, whatever, you know what? You're not defined by your job. Everyone has the right to live their life or say what they want. Freedom of expression is guaranteed, and freedom of speech is guaranteed. And the problem with that is people say stuff you disagree with.
Right. Well, I'll disagree with you there. So that's where
hey.
So that's where American culture, kind of splices in between UK culture, because in UK culture, you guys are totally different over there. You guys are like, hey, your career is not who you are. Over here in America, your career is, because the first thing sometimes when I meet somebody is like, they ask me like, oh, what do you do? And you can either say, hey, I'm a lawyer for this type of firm, and hey, I'm a doctor for this type of firm, or hey, I figured I write stuff for Comic Crusaders. They're like, oh, okay. Then you guys try and find the middle ground in between that stuff. You guys over there, man, you guys are like the wild wild west, man. You guys start off with, oh, hey, what church you go to, man? Right? Hey,
not everybody, not everybody.
what sport did you guys make a root for?
Yeah.
You guys
Who's
are
your
on a
team?
totally different
Yeah.
level. Yeah, yeah. So
Hashtag it's got to be Newcastle. Just
right,
saying.
and then over here, like how good you do your job, that plays into like whether I like you too or not. Like, are you a shitty person? Are you a shitty actor? Or I mean, or hey, so here's where I absolutely agree with you, which is crazy, which is like, okay, how you are in your personal life affects how I view you on the freaking screen. And
Okay.
and normally for this particular case, it wouldn't affect us all. But the fact that she actually went after the normal fan, and she said some crazy stuff like, "Hey, I didn't make this movie for you." A lot of the fans felt like they were going after her or going after them, and it's like, well, it really shouldn't care. But then her performance on the screen wasn't necessarily that amazing anyway. But here's the thing: Captain Marvel in the books is a soldier, right? She has that stoicism. So a lot of people didn't get that. A lot of us are used to a female character, and then she's like the secondhand banana, right? She's just there to
Right.
provide some emotional death, right?
Yeah.
We didn't get that with Captain Marvel. She just showed up on screen and was like, "Oh, here we go. Let's do this. Let's do that, and the other thing."
I absolutely get where you're coming from. I absolutely get this, and what I would counter with that, I know we want to talk about comics, so this will probably be my last comment on this, is that when the guns in Endgame are raining down on the heroes, right, and then they stop, and then the guns turn up, and you see Captain Marvel fly through the sky to smash that first cruiser, the cheer that went up was unbelievable in the cinema.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So Captain Marvel has a presence. And Lucas, you're bang on right. The Carol Danvers character in the comic books isn't a likable character at times. Right? She's big-headed, she's bullheaded, she's arrogant, all of those things. Captain Marvel, the movie, is not a plug-and-play Marvel movie in the way that you could take the humor quota out of all the different ones and stick it in, it's all the same, right? So I absolutely totally get that. But yeah, cool. That's my last comment.
I'll just say in America, you're judged by your last soundbite.
All right, okay. I am so screwed.
So, all right. So let's jump into comics. I know, like right now, we have some event stuff going on. Devil's Reign issue 2 just came out this week. To me, and I'm going to say one comment about Devil's Reign. I feel like I've read it before. I love Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, and this feels very post-Civil War Norman Osborn and the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
And it seems to me like the story's been told. So now you have all the heroes on the run, and the villains are the heroes, and that's kind of where we were in the Thunderbolts that turned into the Dark Avengers. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That seems like it's all rehashed.
Well, I've got to say that I agree with you on Zdarsky's Daredevil run. I picked this book up, Devil's Reign, purely on the strength of Zdarsky's Daredevil. Daredevil, for me, for 2021, has to be one of the 3 top tier books that I would read religiously every month or every 2 weeks or whatever it shipped.
Agreed.
So to get me, an avid I hate events type of reader, hooked on the idea of Devil's Reign, you know what? I'm in. I'm gonna read it. And has it been done before? Maybe. You know what? Maybe it has. But Budge, we've talked about how the lifetime of a comic book reader is normally around 5 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that repetition.
Everything old is new again. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
definitely not the typical comic book readers where we've been reading for 40 plus years. So
I think as long as it's done in an original way, the conceit behind the story, the villains becoming the good guys,
yeah,
it's been done loads of times, a million times, in fact, all the way back to Justice League when Brian Bolland was doing the cover. So what's that? The 170s, the 180s. So all that it's been done in as you mentioned, the Thunderbolt stuff and Dark Avengers. Dark Avengers look great. Hopefully, this is going to read well. I trust Zdarsky to make a good story out of it. So I'm in.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm out. I'm just saying I've seen it before.
All right, it's cool. Like when the Patriots lose to the Dolphins on week 18. Yeah, you've seen that before this season as well, right?
That is setting up to be a terrible season killer for us. I'm just not. I'm afraid of that game. So we have another week though.
Yeah, well, you get past Tennessee, we could do with an easy game.
Yep. So another storyline that's coming out on an event book is Reckoning War from Dan Slott, and I'm not really entirely certain what this book is about.
Is this because I looked this up this morning? Sorry to interrupt. Is this the Avengers versus the X-Men versus the Eternals?
No, this is the Reckoning War is a Fantastic Four story.
Oh, okay.
And this is
it's Kang. It's Kang saves the universe. Oh yeah.
I don't know if it has anything to do with Kang the Conqueror. I think I saw Annihilus in there. I think that they're going to be off planet. It's going to be a big cosmic thing. I've seen the Watcher. I've seen Galactus. So it looks like a big cosmic story. So and from reading an interview with Dan Slott said he's been waiting to tell the story since he was 8 years old. So he's super excited about this story. He says it's the best work he's ever done in comics, which is saying something. So interesting. Okay. And hey, I am enjoying the fact that I see She-Hulk in the Fantastic Four again, and she's been. She was my favorite member when I started reading comics. So
you never know, it might bring Malice back.
Oh, maybe is that Jack of Hearts I see as well on the cover. So they're bringing Jack of Hearts back. Who to every artist's dread, right? No, I have to draw this guy. What the heck? Can I change his costume? No.
I'd rather go and draw the Superman symbol.
Oh, look at that. Can you imagine how long it takes me to draw Jack of Hearts? Oh my God. So anyway, so who's that guy on the cover? Is that Nick Fury? That's the Nick Fury Watcher type character, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I'm excited already because I love that character. I want them to bring back Nick Fury, the original Nick. And I'm seeing She-Hulk, seeing, when you were talking about, Johnny, the top 3 books that over the last year that you've been go to the top of your pull list. Fantastic Four has been that for me. With Daredevil and Hulk.
It's bubbling under for me. Fantastic Four. I liked what they did with Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
When he became super powered. To be fair, I haven't read it since then. So I'm assuming they've managed to sort that out for him.
No, that he's still stuck.
Yeah. On that cover then, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a good book, and it's just interesting month in and month out. So that's all I'm asking for is just to keep me hooked, keep me interested, have there's the drama that you're not really finding in a lot of the other books. This is great. I can't wait to read this.
Okay, cool. To be fair, Fantastic Four was a bubbling under for me. I'd read it every now and again and pick something up. If you're interested, my top 3 were going to be, no particular order, Daredevil, Black Cat, even though the ending of the Black Cat didn't land particularly well, and just for consistency's sake, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel Kelly Thompson's been killing that book. My bubbling unders were going to be Fantastic Four, Spider-Woman, which has kind of hit a nice little pace now. And that's kind of where I'm at with those. No X books, no Avengers books, definitely no Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, we have
Jesus.
Wow, so we have the X books that are going to be that are
I am
going.
liking the Gwen covers. Like I'm not gonna lie, I am liking some of these.
Yeah, so we're getting a soft reboot in the X books coming up pretty soon, with a bunch of new titles launching, and
they're taking a break, aren't they? A couple of months break and then back to it.
Yep. And I think we're seeing the end of Sword and the launch of X-Men Red, which actually means something now. Like they used to have the colors, and I used to be like, why are they color coding the X-Men books? And now X-Men Red is going to be about Mars. So, okay.
So wait, they're bringing back X-Men Red.
X-Men Red is being relaunched, but it's going to be,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, but it's going to be based on Mars. So there's actually a reason for the title this time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The other book I'm looking forward to, Strange, #1, written by Jed McKay.
Yes.
The Clear book. Clear takes the role of Sorceress Supreme. I'm absolutely looking forward to that. I absolutely love Jed McKay's writing. I think he's been a breath of fresh air across Black Cat, as I mentioned before. The Infinity storyline, the Infinity Stone storyline, had through last year's annuals, top notch.
Yes.
Really good fun. So I'm interested, and of course he's writing the Death of Doctor Strange right now. So if you like your old time mysticism stuff, check that book out because he's going back some, is he not?
Yeah.
So I would be interested to see that book. That's where I'm at. And also, we're ready. You know, you said what comes around goes around. We're getting another Peter Parker versus Ben Riley back in March. So
yeah, I think they're trying to wrap up that storyline pretty quick. So because I know we have the Spider-Man 60th anniversary this year, and we'll be celebrating that, I hope, with something better than this Beyond storyline that's been going through.
The return of Peter Parker and the marriage of Ben J again.
What's old is new again.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh, they could bring back Gwen again. What did we just
Gwen's still around. Ghost Spider, right?
Is that what all those covers were? Was that the Ghost Spider Gwen in those different costumes?
Let's see.
What's
up with that? Ex Gwen.
Yeah, she's actually. I don't understand the logic behind it. I did read why we're having a Gwen month, but some of the covers are really cool, so I'm all right with that.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be the new, like, the Venom covers that were peppered everywhere the last couple of years.
Right. Yeah, like, is it her anniversary or something like that of her being created, or what the heck is going on?
I tell you what, we'll have to ask 13th Crusader. Is it the anniversary of her being kicked off a bridge?
But why is it all X Gwen though? Why?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that's the second. That looks like Kitty Pryde Gwen, and then you had Phoenix Gwen or Jean Grey Gwen. Why is it X Gwen? She's not joining the X-Men. She's not a mutant.
You never know.
Weird.
Just like the Maura Taggart, surprise thing.
Oh, that was still great when that happened.
So see if there's anything else in here. Yeah, so I mean,
I've got it. It's because we're getting a new Gwenverse comic event. There you go. Gwenverse #1. To celebrate that, we are getting a whole host of different. Let me just share the screen quickly, and I'll show you what I've talked about. May I share the screen, Lucas? Is that all right?
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
Let me just share. I'll show you what I've got. Share screen, Chrome tab, Gwen Stacy, boom. There you go. Hang on.
Yeah.
Boom. Where's that? There it is. There you go. So across the Gwenverse, you are getting all these various different Gwen Stacy's. So you've got like a Wolverine Gwen, you've got a Thor Gwen, you've got a Captain Marvel Gwen, kind of cool, Captain America Gwen, and so on and so forth. And to celebrate that, that's where the covers are coming from.
Oh, does that mean we're never going to get the end of that Gwen Stacy limited series that started back during the pandemic, and they aborted? Did we get like two issues of that?
The Todd Newick one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was.
I know it was bad, but I mean, we didn't even get to finish the storyline. It was like 2 issues and out.
Oh man, I just give up. I don't understand what's going on because I mean, Ghost Spider. I thought Ghost Spider was a canny little read, and I haven't seen that for ages. So,
So,
hey ho.
so you see the new Punisher book is coming out, and they're changing the Punisher symbol. Do you think that that is a direct result of the alt-right kind of stealing the Punisher symbol for like law enforcement?
I was, if you ask my opinion, I would hope not because it wasn't that. It wasn't, I suppose, that long ago that Black Panther was a vigilante group in New York. And of course, the Black Panther changed his title to something else, but then reverted back to Black
They
Panther.
turned they turn him to the Black Leopard or something
Yeah.
for
So
just one appearance, and then he was back to being
yeah,
Black.
so I think if Marvel's got issues with its copyright on the skull, which is the issue because anyone can use it, then that's a different thing. What I think it is that the House of Mouse is cracking down and saying, "Well, hold on a second, you know, any minute now he's going to stop firing guns. He's going to be like,
Oh yeah,
like Hawkeye and Green Arrow use. Green Arrow used to use his boxing glove arrow. Do you remember that back in the day? Yeah, instead of stabbing into the bad guy, I'd use a boxing glove arrow. So yeah, he's going to start firing guns that fire rubber bullets and tank
no.
darts and stuff like that.
If no,
And
then don't use the
punishment
Punisher. Yeah, then
punishment
don't
isn't
use
going
the
to be. It's not going to be Punisher. It's going to be like you've got detention. It's going to be the detentioner. That's what it's going to be. You've done crime. Go and do lines of writing, not lines of anything else.
Ugh. Ugh.
So I think that's where it's from. I think you can't. You know, it's about those hard-hitting characters, like you said. Can you expect to see Moonlight and Disney Plus? How are you going to get away with the mature stuff that goes within that book? I think it's the same with the Punisher. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Lucas, do you have any more covers to show us? I was kind of liking you kind of running through those covers.
Oh yeah, I got all the
Oh,
covers, man. So I've got all the covers from the catalog for December. You guys have already seen this. Let me make sure we can see you guys.
Did I see Milligan and Allred coming back to do a mutant book? Because they did X Force back in the day, if you remember that.
X-Force.
Was it X Force? What was it? What was it that
Yeah,
they
it was. You're right. It was X-Force. When everyone says X-Force, I automatically think Liefeld for some reason.
did? No,
And
no.
I get like one of these.
Yeah. So interviewers should definitely try and pick this one up. Maybe Spider-Man and Queen Goblin, but don't go crazy on that. Don't go crazy on that shit. Spider-Man. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of Amazing Spider-Man joins Miles Morales Spider-Man. I forget what the name of that is. That Quasar? I forget the name of that.
Quantum. That's the guy.
Quantum,
That's
yeah.
the Infinity Stone guy. Yeah.
That's another. Looks like a. Is that another Gwen cover?
No,
Yeah,
that's Star.
Oh
no,
yeah.
that's Captain Britain. That's Captain Britain.
Is that Captain Britain?
Yeah.
Oh
She's
yeah.
blonde. Is Captain Britain blonde?
Oh, that's the Gwen Stacy
It's
Captain
a great.
Britain.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Captain Marvel. Woo! That's a good cover.
Yeah, Rian Gonzalez always does some good stuff.
It's clever.
Bring back the excellent.
Yeah, okay, excellent. But it's up. These are all the characters from Milligan and Allred's run on X Force. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Dupe and all that.
Yeah, this one's a 1/25 by David Mack. Strange Academy still going strong. The Strange Academy #1 is actually like $1,000 book now.
Really?
That is crazy. I think you mentioned that last week, and I was like that. I mean, it's a good book. That's Strange Academy is sneaky good. Yeah, but that's strange that it's $1,000 book.
Just the standard cover.
No. I'm talking about there's a 1/25 or is it a 1/50
Okay.
by Jerome Opena. That's $1,000 book. 9.8.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's pretty good for a book that's only came out a couple years ago. Thor is also coming out. The one that people are going to want to look out for this week, and let me blow myself up so people can see this bad boy.
Oh, I love Lockjaw. Bring back Lockjaw.
Is this one right here? Thor #20. And I can't say exactly why, right? Because but when this is coming out, um, it's coming out in a few days, so I can't say exactly why. But if you see this one, if you see this one, it's
Pick it
Thor
up.
number 20. Yeah, pick it up
Is
at all
it?
costs. At all costs.
So do I need to get the one that's got the reflection of your computer screen in it? Is that the variant one?
Yes, yes. Special hologram. Freaking-
I was going to say
so
it looks like a metallic cover, but it's not. It's just
yeah,
reflection.
yeah. Because I put all my special joints in these top loaders.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, so this one is a 1 to 25 by Simone Bianchi. Online, it's already going for $200, but that's because a lot of people haven't gotten their covers. And I would say, hey, this is probably going to be a lot less when everybody starts getting their covers, but already on some of the third-party sellers like Midtown and Collective Clowns or whatever, it's already sold out. So people are going to be looking for this book by Nook and by Crook, trying to get this freaking book. So there's a new character, most definitely, and it's definitely going to be a little very interesting about what's going on with that one.
All
Um,
right.
Cool.
let's see. So Thor, Marvels. I've been loving the Marvels.
That's one of my favorite books right
2020.
now.
Yeah. Darth Vader. That's still a lot of interesting stuff of what happens in between that and the Return of the is it Return of the Jedi or I forget what was the last of the trilogy.
Jedi.
Um, Spider Woman, another good Jung Yoon joint. This one's a Momoko.
I that one.
Black Widow, Adam Hughes.
A wit
It's
and
a
will.
great cover. Yeah.
He's been look. The speculation community was trashing Adam Hughes in 2019. Looks like this pandemic made him get his stuff straight because he's been bringing some fire covers. I'm not even sure who drew this one.
I don't mind that one either, to be fair. Black Widow's an odd book though. It's a book that sometimes I really like it and sometimes I really don't. It's that Marvel humor thing again. I
Yeah.
know that it's like they're trying to make her so funny and the banter between her and Yelena. It's like, oh man.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm missing. So I'm missing the whole sister relationship in the books. It doesn't. It hasn't come off yet. Just like it's come off on screen. So they
Yeah,
might need to work on that a little bit more.
I liked the setup of the series when it was like, oh, she has her idyllic life, and it was just you waiting for the other shoe to drop. I thought that
Right.
was quite interesting. I quite like that because it's a different version of Widow. But
Mm.
Right.
but the humor element that just comes with Marvel books at the minute. I mean, some books really suit it, some books really don't. This is one that sometimes really doesn't.
Yeah.
Great cover again. I just like clever covers.
Mm. Yeah. Another
So
Alex
Iron
Ross.
Man.
Yeah.
Go back to the Iron Man cover. See, that's what happens when Lucas shows a comic and you get another reflection.
Nice.
Sorry. This is why we don't do this as often.
Star Wars: The High Republic.
Everyone
Look,
loves that book. Everyone loves it.
so the first
Yeah.
the first issue, the
Why?
first couple of issues, people loved it. The speculation was off the chain. Even the qualifiers, the regular books, you could sell for like $30. Ever since then, it's just dropped off, right? Because nobody cares. They're slowly trying to get people to understand the decisions that the emperor took. The emperor, yes, he's an asshole, but there's some reasons for why he took those those decisions, and they're trying to explain all that slowly in another off world. Hey, there's a big threat that's out there, and it's coming, and it's going to take over the whole world if somebody doesn't do something. And the Jedi, and they're showing, hey, this is what the Jedi did, and they're failing every single freaking time. That's what's in this book.
Mm.
More Star Wars: High Republic, Ghost Rider. I freaking love this cover.
So I have
50
a,
years.
I have an issue with Ghost Rider.
Mhm.
Everyone talks about Johnny Blaze, and everybody talks about the guy that is it Robbie Reyes at the minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh, nobody talks about Danny Ketch.
He was one of my favorite Ghost Riders.
Don't tell me Danny Ketch has been cancelled.
No, he's been jumping out. He's been running around, jumping in between the stories in between the two.
Yeah, he's not Ghost Rider anymore. He's a different character.
See,
I can't remember what his name is, but he looks more like a knight now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Knight Rider. Well, that's story been taken. No.
That looks like the Black Widow cover. Are they going to have
because they actually did it with the Amazing Spider-Man as well. Don't know what's up with that, but okay.
Oh, they did recently. Yeah.
That's the creep cover. If you have a peeping Tom fetish.
Dark Ages.
See, I'm not sold on Dark Ages. I absolutely tell you what I did love. I absolutely loved the Darkhold books. They were really good. Dark Ages, I think the timing sucks because you've got Dark Ages and Darkhold coming out at the same time. It's like, come on, Marvel, put some distance between the two. There's only so many alternative universes you can put up with. Talking about that, I will say this dead quick: the Amazing Spider-Man Darkhold book by Alex Packnadel. What a fantastic book that is!
That was very good.
Well written, gorgeous art. Alex Packnadel is a guy to watch out for. He does a lot of the one-offs for the event books because he's an indie creator predominantly. But honestly, if you like good stuff, good writing, check him out. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Agreed.
There you go. Johnny Blair's Ghost Rider.
This is the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider.
Robbie Reyes.
It got way too many covers, but you know what?
That's the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider.
Yeah. That's I loved Texier's art, and that was great.
What the heck?
MODOK.
Why has he got Jean Grey's mask? Oh, MODOK and Jean sitting on a tree. K-I-F-I-N-G.
Oh. So this one is going to be interesting to read. I can't wait to see this one. So I've talked about this ad nauseum about the original Negative Zone multiverse, right?
Yeah.
It was, I forget which issue of Fantastic Four Volume 1 it was, where there was a storyline where Reed Richards and the Thing originally went to the multiverse. But the Thing that went with him wasn't the actual Thing. It was this guy that kind of dressed up.
Yeah, it's a great issue. That is a really good. That is Fantastic Four at its best.
Yeah, so they're going back to that, I guess, because I've always asked, okay, what happened to the guy? What? Yeah. So there's just some random guy that looks like the Thing that's out there. So it looks like somebody heard me and decided to go back on that and freaking explore what's going on with that.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. They're going to go back and they're going to say that guy never died in the Negative Zone, where usually if when you're in the Negative Zone, you have a limited amount of time to get out before you're just dead. Because it sucks you into the middle of the Negative Zone, right? It's like a black hole.
Exactly. Because remember, what's the name of the guy? Shoot.
But surely, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure that I do, the guy in question uses like a power transmogrifier or whatever to transfer the Thing's power into him. And then the issue ends with Ben Grimm hammering on the door of Alicia. And as he's hammering on the door, he
turns back into the Thing.
Rock. So the guy in the Negative Zone surely would have turned back to human form as well.
That's kind of the idea, right?
Right. So why did they think on it?
Oh, it's interesting. It'd be an interesting read because that's a story that's 50 years old. So,
checking out my old timer there.
Yeah, there you go. So interesting stuff. But I think we're running a little over here.
Let's just stick to the highlights. That's a great Black Panther Shuri cover. Some She-Hulk 60 times stuff. Let's see.
Gwen book. Not Gwen book. Gwen cover.
Great Moon Knight stuff.
Is that David Finch on that?
Looks like it, right? Let's go to X Lives Wolverine.
Do we ever care anymore?
No, because there's X Lives Wolverine and then there's the X Death.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty much as good as it's going to get for all the covers that I actually have. Some people are going to love this one, the Helicon Legacy Devil's Reign. That's a pretty good cover. And then Carnage.
I'm quite looking forward to the Lady Daredevil stuff. So it'll be interesting when
Yes.
that comes out.
Yep. But that's all I got. I talked about the Thor number 20. I do want to tell people to keep an eye out on the Amazing Spider-Man number 31. That's the first appearance of Gwen Stacy. It wasn't getting a lot of love, and so I started talking about it on Drunken Chat because once again, people are all on the Ghost Spider, uh, whatever. I think her first appearance was like Edge of the Spider Verse number 2. People were all over that back, and I was like, wait a minute. Her first appearance was in Amazing Spider number 31. How come people aren't collecting on that? And it was like $33 at the time. Now it's starting to go for $200. So keep an eye on that one if you can. Your wallets aren't hurting from freaking Christmas and New Year's. Go ahead and freaking grab yourself a copy because with all the stuff they're planning on doing with her this year, it might freaking get up there. Just saying.
All right, good shout.
All right. So we're going to end this episode and welcome to 2022, guys. Johnny, do you want to shout out your other podcasts?
Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your other favorite shows, including the Definitive Crusade, which is this show but DC, and of course the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the horses aren't old, but the comics most certainly are.
That's a favorite of mine.
Yeah, that's only because we talk about football.
This is true. We allow ourselves a little football talk.
Yeah, God knows what's going to happen after the Super Bowl.
We'll see who gets bragging rights. All right, so we will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, stay safe.
Adios.